Welcome to the Last Week This Week review of How to Train Your Dragon live action. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber.
And with all our reviews, we start off with some non-spoilers and then transition into some spoilers. But yeah, I want to hear what my boy Zack thought of this one.
In preparation for this movie, I watched the first one again because it had been quite a while since I'd seen the original How to Train Your Dragon.
Honestly, it's been like a decade for me, and I didn't see it beforehand. So, two different kind of viewings here.
Yeah, it could have well been like a decade since I'd seen it. I don't doubt that. But you know, I watched it, and it's great. You know, like I think
you watched the animated or you watched the.
Well, I watched both. But
yeah, I got you.
I watched the first animated movie in preparation, and it's great. Okay. I'm not one of those people who thinks it's like the best or like necessarily one of the best live actions.
I think I'm right there with you because like I've seen it like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, yeah, it's good.
It's a really good movie. There's things that like there's just a few things that kind of take it away from me being like all-time favorite, you know, animated or just movie in general. But I really enjoy it. And you know, like the voice acting from Gerard Butler, and then I forget who voices Hiccup.
I'm not sure
in that first movie. But he's great. And it's a very enjoyable, fun movie with a lot of heart and an amazing score. And so going into this movie, we had kind of talked about how if you're going to make something into live action, there's certain things that, you know, maybe you don't always want to make it a shot for shot remake of the original. Like if you're going to do live action, try to give it its own reason for wanting to be live action.
But there were a lot of like I hadn't seen it in a long time, but there were like a lot of points where I felt like I remembered the story, you know, pretty heavily.
Right. Yeah. So, having that first anime movie fresh on my mind, going into this movie, I think that this movie does a good job of trying its best to straddle kind of 2 different sides of like 2 kind of takes on the movie. Like it tries to take the levity and the more animated and bigger personality world things from the original, and then marry it a little bit with, I guess, a bit more realism, a bit more maybe like
darkness, a little bit,
and violence at some points. And so I think they did a good job for the, you know, trying to marry the 2. I'm not going to say that I, you know, was like I thought they did an amazing job, you know, because coming out of the movie, I enjoyed my time. I thought there was actually a lot of moments that actually were elevated and better in this live action. And then I think that there's vice versa with the animated, but there's also moments that the original trying to like recreate some of that stuff in the live action kind of like makes the live action detract a little bit.
Yeah, I think what's funny enough is that I think that's like my biggest problem with the movie is that like there was this, like you mentioned it, there was like this realism, maybe a little darker, like more violence in it. But it like, to me, it felt like it barely went in that direction, where like most of the movie was like trying to recreate the same tone as like the animated movie. Like it, like right off the gate, they go into like, he's like narrating it. And it's like, I'm like, I don't know if this is like totally working for me. Even though like I enjoyed the movie, I think they could have gone like twice as like dark to it, and like because like everyone has grown up at this point who saw the original, right? And so you're not trying to attract kids with this like realistic movie.
Well, you are. You are.
But you that's crazy. I mean, I get it. I guess I guess that's where like a lot of the audience is.
To some people, like this will be their first introduction into that story. Same thing with the new like live action Lilo and Stitch. And this is gonna sound strange, like maybe not strange, but I don't mean this in a negative way towards the movie, because overall I enjoyed the movie. I would say if you are a fan of the original, I don't think that it's gonna worsen your experience. Like it's not gonna worsen anything. And I think that there's parts of it that are actually better in the live action. But it did make me committed to not ever watching the live action Lilo and Stitch after watching this movie, because and I'll get into it in the spoilers, but there are just things that I'm like, yeah, there's no way that I'm going to enjoy that live action Lilo and Stitch.
Knowing what you know,
knowing after watching like just another recent remake of something that I didn't like nearly as much as like Lilo and Stitch. So anyways, that's kind of my basic non-spoilers. Like it's good. Would I rewatch it? Maybe, but probably not. But I still enjoyed it.
The only time I'd rewatch it is like if somebody else hadn't seen it, or like if the sequel's about to come out and be like, all right, let's just rewatch it, because it sounds like they might make a sequel to this.
Yeah.
No, I think some of the positive stuff, like I kind of mentioned before, like was the darker stuff. Like they, this is kind of some like very minor spoilers, but like they go off and like on this expedition and like only one boat comes back, and they're like, and they they focus on it for like a brief second, and it's really cool that like there's some really like dark themes, and like there's a lot of death going on and tragedy, but they don't go into it. But I do love like the parts that they kind of bring that into the story. Other than that, I think the acting by like Gerard Butler was like, I thought he was incredible. I thought Nick Frost was incredible. I actually really liked Astrid. I thought she was pretty good in this, like more than I liked Hiccup. I mean, all the kids. I thought all the kids did well.
Did not like the kids.
You didn't.
No,
because I
didn't
really
like any of the kids.
The one I really liked actually was the nerd kid who like knew everything. The guy who played the kid in Deadpool 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought he did a really good job. I mean, like, sure, you could have like swapped the twins out for anybody else, but and like the kid who was like full of himself, like the ego, like Snotlow or whatever. I thought he did a good job of like being a little shithead, and so I was fine with it. But yeah, I mean, like visually the movie's beautiful. Like the dragons all look incredible. There's one in particular that has like this fire aura around him, like towards the end, that's like so good. Like it's an amazing dragon design. And then the world itself, like the island and the set design and the costumes, like all looked like you were in like a medieval Game of Thrones like setting, So I was pretty happy with like just watching a beautiful movie. So
yeah. No, it is very well shot, and if it wasn't for moments that from the original that kind of insert themselves into otherwise like really dramatic moments at times, like there is an argument to be made that like if they would have foregone some things, it could have been a much more interesting movie to watch. But yeah, I mean, but I guess before we get into spoilers, just going off of what you said, Gerard Butler was great.
Yeah,
I think one of like
the best part of the movie, to be honest.
Maybe the best part of the movie. And I also thought that Nick Frost was great as like the blacksmith.
He's taken so many great roles recently.
Yeah. So he was great. I did not like the kids. I like
any of the kids.
I didn't like Tough Nut. I didn't like Rough Nut. I didn't like the kid from Deadpool 2 and other things. That I hated all the stuff with the kids. Damn. I hated it. And
hated it. Holy shit.
They did not get any laughs or any sort of sympathy or anything. I did not get anything. They gave me nothing.
Yeah.
Nico Parker, who was great in The Last of Us. She was fine as Astrid. She was fine.
Was she in like the flashback episode? Was that what I'm thinking of? Or what episode is she in?
No, she's she plays I think she plays Sarah. She plays Joel's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool.
So but she was fine. She was fine to me as Astrid. I actually really enjoyed Mason Thames as Hiccup. I thought he did he did a really good job, and I was a little iffy about him at first, but he really grew on me throughout the movie.
I know I prefer the animated version of Hiccup. This person was he was good. I'm not gonna say he wasn't, but I wasn't impressed, you know.
I don't know. He did it. He did a good job.
Astrid, she rocked a lot of she action throughout the movie.
She was good at the action, but I just wasn't crazy about some of her.
Well, let's get into spoilers
with people.
Yeah. Well, so I think the one, I think it's more story development than and maybe this happens just as fast in the animated movie, but I'm very much not a fan of her just taking one ride and being okay, my entire personality is changing and I'm just gonna be your sidekick now and I'm fully on board.
I mean, that pretty much happens in the animated.
Yeah, they had another 40 minutes of film to the live action, so they could have easily drawn out her contemplation
I mean, they did some things in a way I think there were some moments that were shot for shot, word for word reenactments.
Yeah, I don't doubt
but
that.
after watching the original, the opening, the opening of the movie, with everything that comes of it up until Hiccup shoots Toothless.
Mhm.
There were some shot for shot stuff, but a lot of it was also shot and edited and from different perspectives than it was in the animated.
Right.
And they even I don't think that there was a trick sheep that the dragon picks up at the beginning. I think it's an actual sheep.
Right.
And
I like the trick sheep, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's kind of fed into the narrative this has been happening for a while.
Right.
And I liked stuff referring going to Astrid, that scene where where Hiccup goes through the dragon book,
Mhm.
and she's I've read it, basically in the animated series she's I read it, and she walks away, and he's
okay.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
I
really did like that moment.
But they had a whole conversation kind of detailing he's starting to plant the seed of maybe they're a little different than what we know, and she's you're crazy. What is wrong with you?
Right. Yeah.
So there were
I really did like her
moments like that.
No, for sure. I think, but I guess to my point, she's so strong. She's even more strong rooted in her belief in this movie, and then it's it's just as fast of a turn as in the animated. So
I was a little I was kind of surprised. I was wondering something that I wish that they would have dived in a bit more was at that exact scene was what she said at the end, and I'm looking at your big house. I want your big house.
Yeah.
And
I like that. Yeah.
I was oh, that wasn't there.
Right.
But then he was yeah, you should have it.
Yeah. Which is so, on brand for that character. So,
but going into that scene where you're talking about the flying, I think it's hard to say which one I prefer because I still like the flying scenes in the animated very much. But,
by the way, is the soundtrack the same? Is it different at points?
I mean, the main theme is the same. I don't know.
Because there were some really great tracks throughout this, and I was did they reuse any of these?
I don't know, but the main one's the same.
Okay, the flying one was great.
So the flying scenes were great, and I love them. And I thought that those were potentially better in the live action, even though just very briefly at times, I was like, that's a green screen. That's, you know.
Sure. Like when she's dangling upside down and like there's a green screen behind her and
you know, so, but for the most part, like I was like, this looks potentially better.
Yes.
And I would say some of the other parts that were much better in live action was probably most of the scenes between Hiccup and his dad. Like all the scenes that they have together are, I don't know, I found them to be much more emotional and much more effective.
I think Gerard Butler even said that like because it's live action, they're able to play like every single emotion they want on their faces rather than like just through their voice.
Yeah.
So he felt like he had more freedom, and I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it was great.
Yeah, it got a little tear out of me that at the end when he said, "No matter what happens up there, I'll be proud of you for calling you my son." And I was like, damn, dude.
I think it upset me in the animated, but I think it upset me even more when it was in live action. The scene where he's like, like Hiccup thinks that he knows about Toothless, but it's really that he's like really happy that he's doing so well. And he's like, finally, we have something to talk about.
And they had nothing to talk about.
And I was like, I was devastated. Every single time I see that scene, I'm just like, ow, that it is
hurts. Heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
That hurts.
Yeah. Because even Hiccup is like, I don't know what to say to you. You know, which is so sad.
Yeah. So
like honestly, I even felt for Snotlow because his dad like was even worse to him the entire movie. He didn't even talk to him.
Yeah. I kind of I didn't care for that subplot at all, to be honest. Like to me, like they didn't really know what to do. They didn't know what to do with his character other than just be like some sort of comedic relief, like Tough Nut and Rough Nut. And they're like, well, what if we draw a comparison between like Hiccup and his dad and then like him and his dad? And I was like, it's fine. The whole time I was like, he's going to get on the big dragon and he's going to punch the eye. And then the dad's going to be like, oh my God, that's my kid. Oh my God. Did everybody see that's my kid? And I'm like, it was fine. But I was like, we really didn't need it.
Sure.
For me personally. But I think the flying stuff, some of the action, and the scenes between, Hiccup and his dad were like the parts that I think were better in the live action, and I thought were done particularly well.
For sure. I don't know how I don't honestly remember a lot of the ending of the movie, the original, but like I was pretty impressed with like the action. From what I remember though, like the small part of it is that like weren't like all the dragons like attacking like the big dragon, or was it just a few?
There were a lot of them, I think, at some point.
Right? That's what I thought. Regardless, I mean, like, I think like the action at the very end was like your badass like battle moment. Like it's the third act. Let's go fight a big ass dragon. And it like the action was really cool. The big dragon like was designed really well, and like the lava it was coming out of was awesome. And
all of that stuff looked great. And everything up, like going up to like going through the water and landing on the beach and getting the catapults ready and all that stuff was super, like it looked amazing. And then the dragon coming out, everything was amazing. But like part of the thing that I say, like the original movie starts to like undercut the new live action is like that scene. I was like nervous for some of the kids in the audience because I was like, this is actually kind of scary. Like, like no kids should, be exposed to some scary stuff. Like that's fine.
That's fine.
But I was like, this is genuinely kind of scary and violent.
And I was like, this is the tone I wanted the whole movie.
And then all of a sudden, like the 5 kids come buzzing through. It's like, we're gonna save the day, and I was just like, oh my! Like it was just such a drastic tonal shift.
That's so funny. I mean, like honestly, by that point, I was just like really into the story. Like I think like the story by the end is really good. You know, like Hiccup has come like full around character development. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He's a dragon rider now. His dad
they're
sees
goofy
it.
friends, like
Sure,
riding this
sure.
like drognot or whatever they fucking call it, and it's like
Right,
mumbling
right.
around. I'm just like, I was like, this is so goofy. And like, you know,
Yeah.
just do we need to have that scene where he's like, I'm okay, and the dragon falls on, I'm less okay. I was like,
Right,
yeah, I
right.
know it's in the original, but it just feels so goofy and out of place.
Right.
But I
right.
get it.
Yeah, they
like,
should have scaled back on the goofiness of the tone for sure.
I just
Because
there's
like
times that I'm like, I know that they want like a 4-quadrant movie where it appeals to kids and adults and
right.
like I get it, but I just felt like sometimes it like was like a little too much. And sorry, there's one more thing that I particularly want to talk about, but I'll let what was I felt like you had some stuff you wanted to say real quick.
No, you go.
So and maybe you'll disagree with me, but my biggest problem with the movie, besides like the kind of changes in tone and like not necessarily like marrying the goofy and the serious like super well, I think that Toothless is not like Toothless is a little watered down and less personable. And
really?
And I found that Toothless is kind of just plays like this like nice beast, you know, like, but it never felt like Toothless has like his own personality and like would like do things like you could kind of tell what he's thinking or like nudge Hiccup when like Astrid definitely likes him. And I think there like as much as there was dragon noises in the original, like this time around it just felt like those like guttural deep dragon noises just felt so run of the mill and like like it didn't really feel like there was personality. It just felt like this beast. And like I was like, you guys already, and thankfully they didn't make like the dragons look more realistic. Like they kept the designs, you know, like you already kept Toothless looking practically exactly the same. And you would show like anger on his face, but you would never show any other emotions for the most part on his face. And that just
did he not smile a couple of times?
There was like that one time that he's like mirroring Hiccup when he was like smiling with the fish, but that it just didn't really feel like Toothless had as much like emotion or personality that when they did in the original. And I think like that was, to me, it's such a big part of the movie is Toothless's personality as well. And it did come through at times. It's just it just felt like he's like the co-lead in a lot of ways, and I didn't always feel like I connected emotionally to that creature all the time. And it just, I don't know. Sometimes it just felt a little too much like a big lizard than what it should be, and it just I think that just kind of like. That was one of the big parts. I was like, I'm not watching Stitch because like this is like I just feel like I don't know. Anyways,
no, I feel you. I think I'm definitely less critical about it because I didn't see the original like right beforehand, so I don't have that reference point. But I don't know. To me, it felt like it felt like he had personal. Like he you know obviously very much cared for Hiccup. He would protect him with his life, like he showed it at the very end. I think, I mean, multiple times he risked his life for Hiccup. I think maybe that's like he's a little playful, like, but I agree, like that's maybe the extent of his like personality in the movie is that he's like a little playful and he cares for Hiccup a lot. So I think that's a valid critique. I'd love to watch the original now to really compare. But yeah, I think all else I was gonna say was that like overall, I do think the story is pretty solid. Like Like it's really just a kid trying to make his dad proud, but also realizing like he needs to be himself, and in the end, like being himself makes his dad proud, and then the very end, like he gets a really beautiful like he almost becomes like brothers with Toothless by like losing his leg, right?
Right.
So I thought that was a really nice like ending point. And then, like the village kind of ends on a very like, because of Hiccup's like actions, like the whole village and like the way of life has changed. And I think that's like a really cool story to tell.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah.
And that's like,
but it's not a new story is the problem, I guess. Right.
No, well,
like it's not like I guess I'm more so complimenting the original animated movie story, and then this one copies it. But I feel you.
Yeah. Like I think I will always want to go back to the original, not because of like any sort of bias of like I saw it first. That was my first experience.
Right.
I just particularly like it better.
Sure. And the guy who directed it was like, we made this for like a different kind of audience, and if you're not like if you like the animated movie better, then that's fine. Like we want you to feel like that.
And that's the other thing. Like I didn't realize at the time that the same guy who directed the first
same guy
like animated movies, the three that came out, it's the same guy. I get and by the way, like this is a very like, as somebody who like, I don't know his other credits off the top of my head, but like as somebody who I only know as like doing animated movies, like this movie is very well shot, and like it looks very well done, and everything is pulled off like very well. So
you know what's really funny is the last movie he did before this was How to Train Your Dragon 3.
See, so like I'm very impressed with his ability to like transition into like a live action directorial role. But I understand the impulse to be like, well, let's just get the original guy. It's a beloved movie. Like, let's not, let's not mess with it. But I do wonder if like this maybe could have done with like a new like person in charge of like setting a new direction.
Yeah, I think that we would have had a very different direction. Probably like more alters to the story as well.
Yeah,
if we had somebody else.
Yeah,
that would have been cool to see that, right?
Because like as much as I say like there were like the flying scenes and the talks between Hiccup and his dad were like elevated by the live action. And those were all scenes that like also there was some stuff that's exactly the same, and then there's some stuff that's like added to with those scenes.
Yeah,
the stuff that they not all of it, but a good amount of the stuff that they took from the animated and tried to keep it in this movie felt like sometimes they reworked it in a way that was like really well done. Like when Hiccup's asking about like, has anybody, ever like known this about a Night Fury or yada yada about a Night Fury, as like the animal, the dragons trying to kill him when they're hiding behind the planks.
Yeah.
Like that was after we had already been introduced that he's like in the ring, but like in that scene, you didn't even know he was in the ring. And then like the fire shoots out and it's kind of startling, and you're like, I don't know. I thought it was well done, but the moments that from the animated that they tried to insert into this movie just sometimes felt like it detracted from it. Like I didn't need the what are you gonna do? I don't know, something dumb or something stupid. Well, you already did that. Well, I guess something crazy. And I was just
that's
like,
more like it.
I did not need that. I did not need the, I'm good. I'm less good.
Right.
Like there was just scenes like that I was like, this would have been better without that. But
yeah. That's a good point. No, I feel you. But I think overall, pretty good movie.
Yeah,
but I think
it was.
But also,
you're decent. There's some really good stuff, but
I think you're left feeling though like what was really the point here if you're not like doing much different, right? I think like this is more on the side of a shot for shot remake in a sense. And I think for me to really care about a live action thing, like I think you need to like change it up a bit, right? But not to the point where like you're changing like the theme of the entire movie like Stitch did. So
yeah, I just well, that's another debate.
That's another.
I got not in trouble, but let's say there was a spirited debate about that.
Oh, really?
Recently,
okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't necessarily. I don't understand this trend to remake live action movies animated movies into live action.
Well, the trend
as much as they have been doing, but
is that usually it's like 90% of the time makes money, and you're getting people just in the seats based off nostalgia. I mean that's like there's almost no risk in making these movies, which is
maybe that's it. It's just that the trend towards not taking risks. So
that's pretty much it.
That's what it is.
That's it. But yeah, that is our review of How to Train Your Dragon live action. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next review.
Till next time.